And welcome back, everyone. Did you get a new smartphone, iPad, or tablet over the holidays? Well, there are some things you should know. Joining us this morning is Dave Hatter of Libertas Technologies. Dave, how you doing?
Good, Rob. How are you?
So many people have these things and they cannot live their lives without it, correct?
Pretty much. I'm addicted myself, as are most of the people that I know now.
Because now, anytime you're in a line, everybody's doing this.
Well, that's one of the things that makes it so powerful. You know, you can be virtually anywhere and actually be productive.
Okay.
Or waste a lot of time with Angry Birds.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So now, what should we do in terms of when we get a new smartphone? What are some of the things we need to keep in mind?
Well, one of the first things you should do, and a lot of the predictions coming out of various pundits this year in the tech industry are you're going to see a lot more malware, viruses, attacks, hackers, that kind of thing, because as the pool of these devices gets bigger, whether it's a smartphone or a tablet or whatever, it becomes a much larger target.
Sure. So
one of the first things you ought to do is, whether you have an Apple phone or an Android phone or whoever makes the software for it, get some kind of antivirus software for it as a good first step that's going to help reduce the likelihood that someone hacks into your phone, steals your confidential data,
sure,
breaks into your bank account, or any of the other things that you might start doing from these devices. So that's one of the first things you ought to do.
Okay, now I am terrified of going into the market and just downloading stuff willy-nilly. Should I be cautious?
You should be cautious. Do you have an Apple or an Android?
Android.
Okay, with Android, see, one of the things Apple has going for them is they really have a tight-fisted control over
absolutely.
Their marketplace and the software that can be distributed to an Apple device. So to that end, anything you build for Apple has to be approved by Apple. You're going to have a lot less likelihood of hackers and malware and that kind of thing coming through the official channels. Android, on the other hand, with Google, you know, they've taken a much more open approach. Virtually anyone can put anything they want in there. There have already been a lot of hacker-type problems. I have Android devices myself. Yeah, you should be cautious.
Okay.
You know, you should only get stuff from reputable vendors.
Okay, so the one thing you need to do is make sure you have something that protects your phone. Yeah. What are some of the other things you need to do?
Well, you ought to set a password on it so that if you lose the thing, you know, another big problem that people don't anticipate is you start putting apps on there, you start using it for like mobile payments and all these other cool new things you can do.
Yep.
Use your phone to pay for something.
Yeah.
Well, now you're starting to build up really sensitive information about yourself, possibly your bank account, social security number. You need to protect that. What happens if you lose the phone?
Right.
I mean, it's easy to lose a phone. I've lost several in the last decade or so.
Right, exactly.
And who hasn't probably lost at least one? So you need to be thinking about that information on there. And there's all kinds of cool productivity apps out there, too, where you really can turn these devices into great productivity tools. Things like Evernote. Yeah. And if you've seen Evernote, it's a really powerful tool. It's basically a note-taking tool that you can synchronize across many devices very easily.
Okay, now if you got a tablet or an iPad, what are some of the things you should keep in mind?
Well, you know, one of the things you should keep in mind is as these things change, of course, they're going to keep getting better and better all the time. You're going to be able to do more and more things with them. But again, I urge people to be cautious, because if you don't know who the vendor of the software that you're downloading is, there's a possibility that it's some kind of hacking device that's going to steal your information. You know, don't lose the thing.
Yeah.
Think about the fact that it may have sensitive business information on it. It may have your personal information on it. Don't lose it. There's more and more cool things coming out that you can do with these all the time, like online banking, like being able to pay with a device. You know, the sales of the devices are going through the ceiling, so more and more people want to build software for it, right? There's more markets. So as more get out there, there's going to be more stuff you can do. Visit reputable websites like ZDNet or CNET, get reviews of the software, look into stuff before you just willy-nilly put anything on the device. You don't know what it is.
And quickly, give me one bold prediction for this year.
One bold prediction for this year, I would say RIM. This probably isn't too bold. They're about done. The BlackBerry is pretty much over.
Seriously,
yeah,
right?
I mean, they're predicting now the smartphone market will hit almost 60% of all phones in America will be smartphones. You know, the Windows Phone isn't really making it. I don't think you're going to see much of a difference in the market share with Apple and Android and the smartphones. Android is killing Apple.
But there are some people who are still walking around with the BlackBerry.
Well, a lot of times, Rob, you know, if you're a business user, that's what the business gives you. But yeah, they're pretty much done. And it's going to be a battle, I think, between Apple and Android for who can take over the tablet market, because Apple is crushing Android in that space.
It'll be fun to watch.
It's very interesting.
Dave, Happy New Year to you, man.
Thanks, Rob. You too.
We have much more straight ahead on the Fox 19 Morning News. This isn't a guest parking spot. Check out this car on top of an apartment building. We'll tell you what happened. Back in a moment.